Okay, the sealed book. Okay, so now we've discussed the heavenly vision in the first lecture this morning. And what we have seen is that chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all of them relates to St. John's own experience. It refers to the things which are. You can't just dive into the book of Revelation. You can't just start reading and thinking and organizing the things in accordance with your view. You should first ask the basic question: which things are? And this is what we've done until now. We've seen that chapter 2 and 3, the 7 letters to the 7 epistles to the 7 churches under St. John's pastoral care, it refers just to 7 letters. In the historical sense, we should read them in the same way that we read the other epistles of, for example, St. Paul. It has nothing to do with the church age. We shouldn't try and find a deeper meaning. Then, St. John, he heard the voice of Christ the second time. The first time already in chapter 1, I think verse 10, he heard the voice of God, of Jesus, saying, in that case, appearing to him and revealing himself to him. And then in the second case, he heard that same voice, and in both cases it was sounded like a trumpet. In the second case, he heard the voice said, "Come up hither." He has seen an open door in heaven, so he's taken to heaven, and that's what we find. He sees the throne, he sees the Lamb, he sees the heavenly beings before the throne, and he sees the 24 elders. So that's everything which are, chapter 4 and 5. But then in the right hand of the Father, he saw the book, the sealed book. Clearly that refers to the prophecies, because we read, I will show you what will be hereafter, what will happen. So this is the second part, those things which shall be hereafter. We should distinguish that very clearly in the book. I hope I was successful in convincing you regarding that. So now we come to the sealed book in the right hand of God. It contains the prophecies. And Jesus, the Lamb, was the only one that was worthy to take the book from the right hand of the Father, to break the seals and to read what was in that book. Okay. So let's discuss the seals. The book was sealed with 7 seals. The whole book was sealed with 7 seals. Only the Lamb was worthy to break the seals and read what was written in the book. The use of the seals, why are seals used? In the ancient world and even today, people use seals. Why do people use seals? Sabine? Why do the Germans use seals?
Germans? I don't know, but in the old time in history, they important letters say in the seals, so they unbreak it, and then they nobody reads.
Yeah, so to make sure that nobody reads what's inside, because if the seal is broken, then somebody can read what's inside. It was used for secrecy. The seal of the sender was pressed into clay and in later times into wax. So we find this habit already, this way of doing things already in ancient Sumeria, in Mesopotamia, in about 3000 BC. That's about 5,000 years ago. Even before that, 5,500 years ago, we find this practice of using seals. In that stage, they used clay. They made a clay envelope. They put some clay things in there, and then they sealed it. How did they seal it? They made a small cylinder out of some kind of stone. And on that cylinder, they engraved certain things, nice pictures or something, and then they rolled it over the clay. It's round, it's form of a cylinder, so they rolled it over the clay, and when they rolled it over the clay, that image was impressed on the clay. It was sealed. Then they put it in the sun, it became hard, and then they sent it to the person that was to receive it. So if the person who took it towards that other person broke the seal and looked what was inside, he couldn't put the seal back, because there was only one seal, and that was in the hands of the sender. Okay. So, the seal of the sender was pressed into the clay. The content of the sealed document could not be read without breaking the seal. The full content of the heavenly book was hidden by the 7 seals. Just check the full content. Not just a part of the book. The whole book, the full content was sealed were hidden by the 7 seals. The book may have consisted of 7 parts. It's possible that the book consisted of 7 parts. We don't know. It doesn't say. But it's important to understand that the whole book, every single part of the book, was sealed by these 7 seals. The content of the sealed book was not merely read. It was expressed visually with commentary. So that which was in the book, the content, it's not just read, it was revealed through visions and various acts of angels and symbols. Very much in the sense that we found, for example, in the case of Daniel, in his visions, but in this case, much more detail is included. We may compare the text of the sealed book with the script of a drama piece, which is performed on stage. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we should maybe look at this book, the script of this book, maybe in a similar way that we look at a script of a drama piece. Because it's a heavenly drama that is unfolded in the later parts of Revelation. It incorporates visual portrayals, changes in the background of heaven, as well as the appearance and actions of angels or heavenly beings with commentary. Let me just read it again. It incorporates visual portrayals. So they're visual portrayals. Are you with me? Difficult visual portrayals. It's portrayed in a visual way, that you can see it. There's certain changes in the background in heaven, and there are appearance and actions of angels or heavenly beings with commentary. Okay, the first 6 seals. The first was a man on a white horse, which appeared. Then a man on a red horse, war. Then a man on a black horse, famine. And a man on a grey horse, death. Then we see the martyrs in heaven. And the 6th seal is said to be the wrath of the Lamb. Okay. We'll come back to it, so I'm just giving an overview. I just want to present an overview of the whole book. Hongersnood, famine is hongersnood. Let's go back. So this is the first 6 seals. You'll find this in Revelation chapter 6. So I'm now concentrating, I'm trying to see how this prophetic part of Revelation fits together. We're now discussing the prophetic part, and we would like to see how all these aspects of the prophetic part fit together. So first we have the 6 seals. Just remember, it's only the first 6. There's still a 7th seal. Okay. After the 6 seals, we have the trumpets. After the 7th seal was broken, so when the 7th one was broken, there was silence in heaven for half an hour. Chapter 7. And then, or chapter 8, then 7 angels with 7 trumpets appeared. That's in chapter 8, verse 1. And the sound of each trumpet announced a plague. So a certain plague is announced when these trumpets were blown. So the angels, every angel appeared and blew his trumpet, and then that announced a certain plague. The plagues announced includes 1/3 of the trees, grass, sea, rivers, fountains, sun, moon, stars, and men were hurt by the plagues in some manner. So I'm just giving an overview. All these things, but always a third of the trees, grass, sea, rivers, fountains, sun, moon, stars, and men. They were all damaged by the plague. The plagues grew progressively worse. And the last 3 plagues were even called woes. What is that in Dutch? A woe. Een weer. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, you must just check him, because it seems to me that he has some bits of his own that he's including. Yes?
I have one question. Like in Romans 8, it says like that the creation is longing for the appearance of the children of God.
That's right, yeah.
Why? Actually, I do not really understand why God damaged the creation.
I don't think God damaged it. And when we discuss these plagues and see that all these things were damaged through these plagues, and we see what the plagues present, then you'll understand. But it's a very good question. Why would God damage the nature and all these things? It's a very good question, but we'll discuss it. At this stage, we're just going to give a broad overview. I'm not interested in the details. We'll come back to it. It is always important to have a background when you're discussing something, and it's always important to give an overview of something when you're discussing something. That you can see how it fits into the various aspects of this overview. Okay, so the trumpets, the plagues, and the last 3 plagues are even called woes. Before the sounding of the 7th and last trumpet came an important announcement. Just before the last trumpet is blown, we find
Not yet.
a very important announcement. Yes, but not yet.
You were looking on the clock, but it takes half an hour before the trumpet is going to blow.
I'm trying to see, do I have till 5 past? Okay, that was just what I wanted to figure out. How much time is left?
Just be watchful that the temperature blend in the
You ready? That you're ready? Okay, before the sound of the 7th and last trumpet, an important announcement. In the days of the voice of the 7th angel, this is what is announced. In the days of the voice of the 7th angel, that's the last trumpet, time would be no longer. This is, in my view, extremely important. So it says when the last trumpet, when the 7th angel blew or blows, depending on how you now view it. Historically, he blew it in terms of the vision, but in future it refers to events that will happen at some stage in future. Then time would be no longer. There won't be any more time, so that will be the end. So when that angel blows his trumpet, it will be the end. Then the prophetic word announced previously by the prophets would finally be fulfilled. This you can read in Revelations 10 verse 5 to 7 is clearly stated. So that which has been announced, the prophecies, will be fulfilled. So everything will come to a conclusion with the 7th trumpet. So the 7th trumpet is right at the end. This is my way of understanding this. The announcement does not concern the events that follow the sounding of the 6th trumpet. There are certain events that follow the sounding of the 6th trumpet. It doesn't concern them. It only concerns that which follow the sounding of the 7th and last trumpet. Events under the 7th trumpet would therefore only arrive after the events that follow the 6th trumpet is past, as past. What is included under the 6th trumpet? For example, Jerusalem is tread underfoot for 40 and 2 months. We will read that in the beginning of chapter 11. Perfect. I'll do so. I'll just get some water, some fuel. So the events under the 6th trumpet would therefore only The events under the seventh trumpet would therefore only arrive after the events that follow the previous trumpet, the sixth trumpet, has come to pass. What is included under the sixth trumpet? The previous trumpet. When you read it, you'll find under the sixth trumpet is also included a large part of chapter 11, which includes Jerusalem is tread underfoot for 40 and 2 months. That's included under the sixth trumpet.
Sorry, I'm all the time have a question, but I don't really get, like, when the seventh seal is broken, then
All of this is included under the seventh seal.
yeah, but like it says the time is finished.
That's only with the seventh trumpet. Not the seventh seal, the seventh trumpet.
Oh, so it's not in the right order written.
Yeah, so he just announces it long before it happened. He announces that when the seventh trumpet blows, that's announced. It's only announced in chapter 10. It's a mere important announcement.
And are the trumpets also in the same time as the previous seals?
That's a different question. We'll come and go into more and more detail, but at this stage I just want to depict it in the following way. We have the first 6 seals, okay? That's chapter 6. Then we have the 7th seal broken, the beginning of chapter 8. Then appears certain angels with trumpets. The first 6 trumpets, they are blown. When they were blown, certain things happened. A third of the trees, the grass, the sea, the rivers, the fountains, the sun, the moon, the stars, and wind, they were heard. That we find in chapters 8 and 9.
Yeah, but it is after the 6th seal.
Yeah, that's everything. No, 7th seal.
Now about the trumpet.
That was the last seal.
I know, but my question is, are all trumpets after the 6th seal?
7th seal.
So that's the order.
Yeah, so it's first 6 seals, that's in chapter 6.
So that's just the right order.
Yeah. Then comes the 7th seal. Remember the whole book. Everything that we read from chapter 6 till chapter 22 is included under the 7 seals.
But like chapter 6 is 14. The heavens are already scrolled like a book.
Yeah, but no, we'll come back to that. Don't worry about how the events follow each other. Because you'll see later on, maybe I'll give you a little bit of where we're going. You'll see the first one, in a certain sense, is a summary of the later events. And once you see it in that context, you'll understand. So the first 6 is a summary of what is depicted in detail under the 7th seal.
It's like a tijdsopgave.
Yeah. That's perfect. That's very good. En dat is opgehouden. Okay. Yeah, it's like a table of contents. I like that. Okay, so then under the 7th seal, we have first the 6 trumpets, which damages all these things. And then after that, while the angel is still depicting the events that will happen under the 6th trumpet, he stops and he makes an announcement. So for example, while you're still working here, on the afternoon in the building, suddenly there's an announcement. Do you have announcements? You don't have a system. Announcement system. You don't have that.
It is, but we don't use it.
You don't use it. Now let's say you use it, and suddenly there's an important announcement. I just want to announce, it's very important that you all listen to me. When the 7th trumpet blows, it will be the end. Just remember. Okay, this is what happens. Say again?
En dan blaast skipje om.
Yeah, and then he goes down and he blows the trumpet. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. So, now what I'm saying is, before the 7th trumpet is blown, under the 6th trumpet, in chapter 11, we have certain things. For example, Jerusalem is tread on the foot for 42 months. That's under the 6th trumpet. It's not the 7th trumpet. You can go and read it in chapter 11. It's still under the 6th trumpet. At the end of this, it comes to the point where it says, and with this, the 6th trumpet comes to an end. At the end of, nearly the end of chapter 11. And during that period, the 2 witnesses will also appear. That's everything under the 6th trumpet, not the 7th trumpet. When the seventh trumpet comes, it's the end. Time is finished. Once these events have happened, when time has run out, the final woe and the last plagues announced with the seventh trumpet would follow. That's right at the end. Are you with me? You happy? Everybody. Anita, you happy?
Yes.
Okay. Where's Judith? Okay. Nice. I didn't. For one moment I was
Celebrating.
I was surprised. Okay. Good. So now we'll come to the seventh trumpet. And under the seventh trumpet is included the seven final plagues. What did he say? Okay, the seventh trumpet, and under the seventh trumpet, the seven final plagues. We read about the seventh trumpet, where? Chapter 15. After the seventh trumpet has sounded, St. John heard voices in heaven that said, no, this one is blown at the end of chapter 11, but we'll now see that the final plagues is announced at the beginning of chapter 15. The kingdoms of this world have become those of our Lord and His Christ, and He shall reign forever and ever. So with the seventh trumpet arrives the coming of Jesus Christ when He takes possession of the kingdom. That's the end. The seventh trumpet is the end. Then followed various visual depictions after the seventh trumpet has blown, before seven angels appeared in heaven with the golden vials. That's the beginning of chapter 15 that I've referred to. Like those found in a pair of scales. So there's certain veils, and these veils are like those found in a pair of scales when you weigh something. And the reason for this is it depicts the fact that God has weighed these things, and now He has decided it's a time of wrath, of punishment. Very much like we read in Daniel, where He said, I've weighed you, and you've been found too light. Right? Is that the right word? Not heavy enough. Okay, so let me just read it again. Then followed the various visual depictions. That's after the trumpet has blown. Before seven angels appeared in heaven with golden vials, like those found in a pair of scales, filled with God's wrath. These final plagues conclude the previous plagues. So the final plagues, the seven vials that we find under the last and seventh trumpet, which blows at the end when Jesus will take up the kingdom. These last vials, seven vials, after the seventh trumpet, these are the final plagues, but they conclude the previous plagues. We should see them in a continuation of the previous plagues, for we read that they are the last plagues with which the wrath of God is filled up. Who would like to read us Revelation 15 verse 1? 15 verse 1. Who is that? Okay, Sabina.
Then I saw another sign in heaven, great and amazing, seven angels with seven plagues, which are the last, for with them the wrath of God is finished.
Yeah, finished. So that the wrath of God, and he also in my Bible refers to the last plagues. Does it mention the last plagues there?
Seven angels with seven plagues, which are the last.
Yeah, the last plagues, and he says so that the wrath of God is filled up, is brought to an end. So this shows that it's in the continuation of the previous plagues. We shouldn't read the previous plagues and the last plagues apart from each other. It refers in continuation, the one followed on the other. The final plagues conclude the previous plagues when we read that the last plagues, which contains the wrath of God, is filled up. The use of the word filled up or concluded with last plagues show that they are not only a continuation of the previous plagues that followed the trumpets, but they also brings God's wrath to an end.
This is right before the second coming of Christ.
Correct. Because at that stage, remember, when the seventh trumpet blows, there will be no more time. And when the seventh trumpet blows, at the end of chapter 11, Jesus takes up the kingdom. He becomes the ruler on earth. So the final trumpet, which includes the 7 last plagues, the 7 vials with God's wrath, that's right at the end. Okay.
Which verse was that again? When what talks about
The final plagues.
no time?
That was in chapter 10. That was in chapter 10, and it was verse 5 to 7. So you'll see I'm giving a broad overview of all the prophecies in Revelation and trying to show how they fit together and how you should structure them. So there are 3 woes, grievous events in total in accordance with Revelation 9. Verse 12, the 5th trumpet announced the first woe. So things get progressively worse. The 6th trumpet announced the second woe, and the 7th trumpet obviously announced, it's never said explicitly, but it clearly announced the 3rd and final woe, which can only be the 7 final plagues in continuation of the previous ones. So the final woe, which is announced by the 7th trumpet, that includes the 7 plagues, 7 final plagues under the law, which is God's wrath in the Bible. The 7 final plagues are directed towards humans, sea, rivers, fountains, the sun, as well as the throne of the beast. Let's just remind ourselves again. In this case, remember when the previous trumpets, the first 6 were blown, only a third were damaged. Now the whole thing is damaged. The 7 plagues are directed towards the humans, the sea, the rivers, the fountains, the sun, as well as the throne of the beast. And mention is made of the battle of Armageddon. In chapter 16, verse 16, it's referred to the battle of Armageddon. And we read of hailstones of 50 kilograms that will fall in that time. And there will be an enormous earthquake such that even the mountains and the isles will be buried. The mountains and the isles will be buried. You have a question?
No, just wondering about the 50 kilograms. So much.
That's quite heavy. It's a packet of cement. Like 50 kilos.
Like 2 bags. They're only 25 kilograms.
In our country, they're 1 pack.
Oh.
We're stronger. Okay, so here we have hopefully a nice depiction. You should maybe just shift it slightly that everything is included. So here we have the whole book of Revelation. All the prophecies. Not the first part that refers to the things that happened in St. John's own present, in his time, which was part of his own experience, chapters 1 to 5. But that which is revealed, which was contained in the sealed book from chapter 6 to 22, this is the general outline. So the outline of the prophetic part of Revelation. St. John is taken to heaven where he sees the sealed book that is opened, and that's opened from chapter 6. Everybody with me? So what we find is seals. The whole book is sealed with 7 seals. There's not a single part of the book that's not sealed, because then it would have been revealed already. Everything is sealed with only 7 seals. The first 6 seals, that's the man in the white horse, the conqueror. We'll discuss this now in more detail in the next lecture. The red horse, war. The black horse, famine, hongersnood. The grey horse, death by various means. The martyrs around the throne of God. And God's wrath, when the earth and heavens will be rolled together like a scroll. Will be destroyed. And then comes the 7th seal. And under when the 7th seal were opened, just after that, we find the trumpets that were blown. The first trumpet, a third of the trees and grass were burned. So after the first trumpet, a third. The first 6 trumpets only damage a third of everything. That's important. That's what's the main distinction between the first 6 trumpets and the final 7 vials. Third of the trees and grass burned. Second trumpet, a third of the sea becomes blood. Third trumpet, a third of the rivers and fountains becomes bitter. Alsem. In my Bible, alsem. Bitter. Means bitter. The fourth trumpet, a third of the sun, moon, and stars darkened. The fifth trumpet, the locusts torment and later kill the people. Very strange locusts. We'll discuss them in more detail in the lectures today.
The faces of men, right? I read.
In a certain sense, because they also look like lions. They have heads like lions. Lions and humans. It depends on which way you look at it. We'll discuss it. Okay, and then the sixth trumpet, a third of the people die. Then comes the seventh trumpet. Remember, the seventh trumpet is at the end of chapter 11. It announces that Jesus Christ is now taking up his kingdom. The appearance of him in great power and glory, with wrath on the nations. And then what happens is the seven vials. The first vial, ushers on the people. Ushers. Sores. Sores. Bad sores. Ushers. You know what's ushers? Sferen. Yeah. Somebody asked something?
Yeah, no.
You happy?
Oh, vial, what it means.
A vial. It's a cup.
Oh, yeah.
It's something like a cup. I don't know whether cup is the right word.
It's a viol.
Wheel.
Flower, right?
No. In Holland zal het wees bakke. Een bak. Een bak. Het jy 'n bak? 'n Bak waar jy die...
Schaal. Schaal.
Ja, schaal.
Maar het julle nie bak in Engels nie?
Nee, schaal, that makes sense. Ja.
'n Graal.
Saal.
It's easy in German.
I just can't pronounce it. Just say
Yeah,
again.
it's
Schraal.
a schaal. It's like
A
a
schaal.
box, but it's a bit different.
Schaal met koekjes, now you know it.
No, I know the cookies, but not the schaal.
In English.
In Afrikaans we say a bak. But now you understand what it is. Okay, so I've said earlier, you have two of these in a scale. You know, it tips the scales towards the one side, the one is heavier. So some of these, 7 of these, full of God's wrath, is thrown out. Okay, so the first vial, ushers on the people. The second vial, sea becomes blood. The whole sea becomes blood. Third vial, the rivers, fountains become blood. The sun scorches the people. Becomes very hot. 7 times more than before, according to other Old Testament prophecies. And then, the vial 5, the kingdom of the beast is darkened. We have not yet discussed the beast, but we'll do that in due time. The nations gather at Armageddon, or for the battle of Armageddon. Now, we need slight movement here. Marie-Louise, should you be able to move it slightly? Very, 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 very slightly. Yeah, not too much. Okay, so a great earthquake, vial 7, and great hail during the battle, assumingly, of Armageddon. This is the prophetic part of Revelation. So we finished. We've done everything.
No, I have a question.
Yes, welcome.
You didn't say anything about the 140,000.
44.
Yeah.
140,000 in verse 4 from chapter 7.
That's right.
What does it mean?
I also didn't say anything about
I assume, of course, but this is my question now.
about those that came from the Great Tribulation. I didn't say anything about the beast. I didn't say anything about the woman that I saw in heaven. I didn't say anything about the false prophet. I didn't say anything about the great prostitute. I can proceed.
I know, but that's why my question is now at the moment about 140,000.
At this stage, it's too early to discuss that.
But you will discuss it still? Or?
We can discuss it. I won't. It's not in the lectures, but we can discuss it.
I'm very interested.
Yeah, we'll discuss it. You're welcome. We'll discuss it. There's so many things to discuss, but when we discuss the details, you'll see how it's fitting. It's not difficult to understand it. Okay, I think this is more or less where we break for for some tea and other encouraging stuff that we can have with the tea, cookies or something.